Hello again, I'm Tripp Rogers, and this is Tripp's Take. Well, you knew this time was coming, and I think it's kind of ridiculous that all these sports pundits and people are just trashing the NFL online because the NFL has the audacity to put Saturday night's playoff game on Peacock, a streaming exclusive. How could they do this? It really amazes me because this move was announced last May. Where was the outrage then? They announced that they were going to sell the one playoff game to Peacock as an exclusive. And also at the time it was announced that one of the regular season games would be on Peacock exclusively. All of a sudden, it's like they woke up and said, oh, we're going to do this right now. No, they announced it a while ago. Where was your outrage then? Back then, well, nobody cared. But it's Kansas City. Oh, my God, it's Kansas. We can't see Taylor Swift. Oh! Listen, the NFL is a business. The NFL wants to make money. They will make money the best way they can. And this is one of the ways they could do it. Again, it's not like they did it at the last minute. This has been on the books for a long time. Why do you think they kept saying the Sunday night games were on Peacock also? You know, they were trying to get people in the habit of watching the games on Peacock. And they had the regular season game. And people, again, lost their minds. Now, one thing I do want to mention, and this is part of the, this is a part of that people are missing on these games. It's not as if the home team is going to be shut out or the teams playing are shut out. The games are on over-the-air television in the markets of the teams that are playing in the game. And it's the same way with the Thursday night games, which are exclusively on Amazon. The games are on their local stations. The NFL is very good about that. Baseball, not so much, because that exclusive Apple TV thing, no, that doesn't cover the home markets. But again, baseball, you have so many more games. But football has been consistent. In fact, the ESPN Monday night games are also available on local TV, although I'm not sure if they did this year since ABC moved the Monday night games, or ESPN moved the Monday night's games to ABC, and ABC, of course, is in most markets. I'm not sure if they did that, but that has always been a rule in the NFL, that their games in the home markets are available over the air. But I want to go back to I just think people say it's a money grab for the NFL. Well, listen, when you got a popular product, that's what you try to do. I mean, listen, you're in business to make money. The NFL wants to make money. And I got news for you. This is the way of the world. We are becoming a streaming nation. People are cutting the cords. They're not with cable TV anymore. ESPN faces a very big challenge because most of their money is made on cable subscriptions, and people are not subscribing to cable television anymore. They go to over the air, and ESPN has announced they're going to have a direct consumer product. A lot of the regional sports networks are going to direct consumer products. In New York City, there's a couple of them already, although one of them is owned partially by a cable concern, so they're not going to go to direct to consumer. But the point is, the world is changing, and it's always rough. I remember when, there was some outrage about, ESPN is going to have the college football playoffs exclusively. Oh, what are we going to do? Well, it seems to have worked out. I don't think people are screaming about it as much. And ESPN has also developed what they call the MegaCast. And I think it was a pretty good way to watch the college national championship, although I really wish they'd go back to the coaches' room because I enjoyed that. The coaches sitting around commenting on the game was just fascinating TV. Some of the coaches, I mean, really were funny. But again, part of it is you risk ticking off your fellow coaches, but it still was one of the interesting ways to present a football game in the non-traditional sense. And again, they didn't go to the well too often. The thing about the Manning cast, I enjoyed it right off the bat, but I think, they're doing it more and more often, and I don't know if it has the same impact, and I didn't really enjoy it as much as I've done in years past this year, so I kind of got away from it. But listen, back to the issue at hand. Again, the NFL is a business. It's not like they did this behind closed doors. They announced it. It's been around for a while. They had said it. Again, you don't talk about stuff 4 months in advance because it kind of bounces off people. People won't pay attention. People have short attention spans. The NFL announced this in May. And there were media people who commented saying, this is not going to sit well with folks. But then again, this is the way of the world. The NFL is a money-making venture and a money-making business. And this was one of the things that the NFL talked about and did talk about when they expanded the playoffs, that they were going to offer a game to somebody for a price. And Peacock met this price. The big question, though, is where does the NFL go from here? And are we going to see a Super Bowl in our lifetime that goes away from network or free over-the-air TV? Although over-the-air TV is kind of a misnomer now. It still exists, but the way the landscape of network TV, we've seen this. The writer's strike and the actor's strike were part of this. The money-making ventures and the way they make money, networks, it's changing. It has changed tremendously. Remember, when I grew up, you had 3 networks. That was it. And they had most of the audience. Now, the NFL and every other sports network is fighting amongst themselves, and you have so many different choices to watch TV. There's relatively few sure things. And one of the sure things, though, is NFL football. That's why the networks will pay billions to have NFL Network and have NFL games on the air. And that's why Amazon is paying so much. And that Black Friday game, Amazon paid so much for that. Now, this year they gave it to everybody for free as long as you could stream it. But again, it was on in New York and in Miami, and New York, of course, being the number 1 television market, that certainly helps life. But this is the way we're moving. And for people to sit here and express outrage at something that had been decided 6-7 months ago, I think to me is disingenuous. You start screaming about it back then, and you keep screaming about it, okay, then I will respect your argument. But to start arguing about it now is kind of ridiculous because it didn't come out of left field. It's been something that has been talked about. And of course, it gained some steam after last month's exclusive streaming game on Peacock, but it still didn't hit reality until they said, okay, this is the game that's going to be on. And again, people are now starting to go crazy. I shake my head. I just think it's ridiculous. And I think whoever complains about this is being disingenuous because the time to complain was when it was announced, not just before it. And you act like, oh, they can't do this. Oh, it's shocking. That is Tripp's Take for January the 11th, 2024. Love to hear your comments and questions about my podcast. Just email trippstake@gmail.com. Fantasy football players, we have finished another successful season with the Fantasy Sultans. We're taking a break. We'll have another podcast right before the Super Bowl. The Hall of Famer Mike Scheck and I welcome your comments. Welcome you to join us, too. You can catch our old podcast on Spotify for podcasters and also on YouTube. Just search for Fantasy Sultans. If you like the music of the 60s, 70s, and 80s, you've listened to WTRSradio.com online. I'll talk to you again next week. For now, I'm Tripp Rogers. Thanks for joining me. Make it a great one.